Sinners Decoded, a metaphysical breakdown, vampires, the astral realms, and hell states. What's the deal, family? What's the word? What's the word? Dreamwise here for another one. Yes, sir. You know how I get, you know how I do. So, buckle up, get ready for the ride. You know how Dream gets. I'm going to jump right into it and make the plays for this video because essentially it's one of those movies that we want to understand holistically. And it was a great movie, all the way through. But if you're looking at it with these two eyes, then you're missing the bigger message. There's something deeper that's happening with Ryan Coogler putting these symbolic messages in the movie to wake a certain people up. So I'm about to get into that, man. Sinners Decoded, a metaphysical breakdown. What's the deal, family? What's the word? Let's get it on. All right. So just understand to the core, right, that everything is always lined up for specific reasons. And these directors have a sort of spiritual sense in understanding symbology and stories, the hero story. And they understand concepts, journeys, ideas, all of that. So it coming out on Easter was not a coincidence. And it made sense, so much sense that it would come out during this Easter weekend to give people a new awakening, a new rebirth, a new renewed spirit, and understand to the core what Jesus really is. So if you can see the halo behind this Jesus figure, right? Or the sun disk. It's the same concept as the sun, right? So we're going to go down this rabbit hole of Easter Jesus and this renewed spirit through the church and all of that good stuff. So yeah, just look at the cover, right? Let's start with the cover. Let's start with how they place certain symbols, right? The red and the blue, the sun, SUNSON, right? All of these are ideas or concepts to give you an understanding of the subconscious programming that's happening in the background. So the red keeps you more drawn to the earth realm. The blue keeps you into the heavenly states, right? And we just know that from the chakra system alone. But in the middle, it's the sun, SUNSON, the sun. Jesus pointing up to his heart is the sun. You are the Christ consciousness one pointing up to a higher level of thinking. You feel me? And then even in smoke and Stack's names, you can see a stack being the red. That's more of a physical element, like you're stacking things up. And then smoke being the blue, which is the more etheric, smoke, airy element. So now we just got to see past the veil of the physical eyes and understand what they're actually doing. And then let's get to the name Sinners. Sinners itself is a play on a idea or concept that the Christian church has programmed people with. Don't worry, I'm going to get there. Watch this. But just understand that this movie was deeper than the two eyes and vampires. There's actually a more creative, etheric, elemental idea to the movie. And that's what I'm going to break down for y'all right now. So, hey, y'all know what to do. Like this thing up, share this thing up. Even when you look at the 10 Commandments, some of this stuff is just common sense because it's low vibrational things, right? But everything in these 10 Commandments, I'm not going to go over all of them, but if you just look at the movie kind of heavy, you can see that they went through each phase of the 10 Commandments of this thou shalt not sin. You feel me? So in the aspect of them doing that is a play against religion, or this Christian religion, if you will. You feel me? You shall not commit adultery. We seen that happen with Sammy knocking down the married woman, talking about, I just want to taste you. She's sweaty and all. She said, shit, let me wash up a little bit. He wet behind the ears. He like, no, I just want to taste it. Ugh, that nigga ain't here. She like, all right, fuck it. Get your young naive ass. I was about to wash up and let you taste it, but now you want to take. Okay, bet. This shit I just walked here some miles. You know, we don't got no whip, so I just walked here to see you sing, and now you want to eat me too. You want to yodel? Well, hey, I can't make it up. I'm just telling you what it is. What else happened? You shall not murder. We seen that. Thou shall not kill or steal. That was the aspect of Smoke and Stack stealing from Chicago. Chicago was also a play into the spiritual thing because it was 7 years in Chicago. That's 7 is the spiritual number or the chakra system or transformation. What else? What else? You shall have no other gods before me. The other gods is essentially like, you know, you can see it as the money or in Delta Slim state, the alcohol, you feel me? And him just being, or that would be the gluttonous thing. So they went through all of this stuff, right? And this is just an idea or a controlled statements that's keeping you locked into their control. Religion is to bind you into some kind of order to keep you lost and confused. So I can't wait till my religious people see this one, because you know Dream gonna get nasty with it. Hey, when my religious people see this, they're gonna be like, oh damn. But you know what's so interesting, Ryan Coogler, is like you gotta tease the dead, the people that are still binded into religion and confused about who they are inside. You got to kind of tease them to wake them up. So slowly but surely is going to happen. We seen it when Lovecraft came out and everybody loved that, right? So then some people probably, whoa, right? We seen it Wakanda Forever, Ryan Coogler again, him making a magical, mystical realm of Wakanda and Black African spirituality. You feel me? You've seen it in this particular movie, right? Where Ryan Coogler is just slowly but surely dropping these little nuggets to walk into this new Aquarius age, which is happening now, and then also, you know, wake his people up, if you will. You feel me? So beautiful demonstration of it. And the real sin, we're talking about the real sin, is your skin. But your skin is not a bad thing. Your skin is what you're in this earth realm. You came down here to embark in your skin. That's what sin means, is skin. And your skin is just you having an adventure down here on earth in this world, because you're an adventurer, you're an explorer. So if you can see Moana, she had to set sail on sea to see who she was destined to be. She couldn't be locked down and tied into her parents' control of her being ritual or ceremonially implanted into their land. She had to go find her own land, find her own adventure, find her own world, because our heart was speaking. The heart of Tafiti was speaking to her, saying, nigga, you need to get up out of this thing and explore your own world, have your own travels. So a lot of times what happens is we pick up on our parents' ideologies, and our parents is just doing the best that they can. It's nothing wrong or sinister about what they been programmed with. They're just doing the best that they've always known, and their emotional traumas have locked them into a certain state that doesn't let them express themselves freely. So then what you see is them taking on jobs that, you know, might seem like, wow, you're going to work for until you 65, 70 at this job and they don't give a fuck about you. So it's in a lockdown control. Or you're going to go to this same church and give your last to this church forever. You feel me? My mama, I remember this was the moment I quasi became conscious. I must have been 10 or 11. We went to church, regular Sunday, went to church. And my mama, she didn't really have no money that day. You feel me? You know how it is in the hood. And, we barely had gas to get to church, but we still made it, right? And sure enough, offering plate came around. My mama pulled out that $20 bill and gave it to the church. I looked at her, I said, lady, I hope you got a plan for us to eat. Yeah, Dad, what you doing? So then we leave in the church. And I see the pastor leaving. He hop in his Bentley or Maybach. And I'm just thinking to myself, wait a minute. We just gave this nigga our last dub. And we about to hop in this broke back Toyota that barely got any legs and barely got any gas to get back home to fend for ourselves again. At that 11-year-old boy in me, I said, nah, nigga, this don't even make any sense. Big mega church. Abundant life. Yeah, I'm going to call it out. Dr. Ed Montgomery. Yeah. So, you have to look at these things with your keen eye, your first eye, and not be delusional or be in a space. And it's also in the aspect of just looking with your two eyes and being really, confident and assured in what you're seeing. You feel me? Very, very important to have that. So remember, your skin is your skin, and your skin is just you having an adventure down here. And if we're talking about adventure, let's take a ride. So now, this was the Coco story over again. Ryan Coogler did a fabulous job of depicting Coco as a physical thing happening, but you got to see it from the astral realms. Uh-oh. Ha. Hey, I'm just telling you what it is. You just, what y'all want me to say? You're a dreamer dreaming dreams. You know what night times is. Yeah, the witching hours. You're in the dream state. So now, Sammy playing his guitar, bringing that music into the fold and putting people to sleep, essentially, is you coming into what? Out from the beta state to the alpha, theta, delta states. And now you're in the dream, and you're basically lucid dreaming as these vampires show up. So now you have to understand what actually happened and took place from a metaphysical, spiritual level lens to really grasp the movie. And this is what I'm about to do right now for y'all. So watch this. So the real vampire is, you guessed it, the demiurge, or the false creator god, or the idea of this white savior figure outside of you. That's the vampire. It's a vampiric energy, this Christian theology. And the reason why it's a vampiric energy, because it's feeding on control. It's feeding on putting you in a box. It's keeping you in a place of shit, no growth, no expansion, no light, essentially, right? See, churches is a tool. They're a tool to conquer a certain amount of people, to scare them into damnation and hell. So in the beginning was spirituality, right? And spirituality is just you moving, doing particular things based off of your own energy. It's you changing the energy inside of you, right? Religion, which means to bind you to something, was a bastardized version of spirituality. And this bastardized version of spirituality is to keep you in control and to get you out of your right state of mind, your chaos state of mind, to be in your rightful power. But the problem is we've been programmed so long into this religious cult that we have lost our way of the world. Well, not us, because we're spiritual in this thing, but the ones that are still stuck in the Piscean church going energy, they're locked into a certain law. And that law is to make you inferior. That's what the whole Jim Crow laws was about, to put you into an inferior, condemned state. Black people was inferior. You got to go to the back of the bus. You drink from this water fountain. You can't eat here. You feel me? So it looks on the on some aspects of it, yeah, we can just do our own thing, right? But then if the government is kind of funding a certain group of people and you have to get from point A to point B, then it's a struggle to get through into society. You feel me? So you damn near just climbing your way out of a hole, the rabbit hole, if you will. So if the Jim Crow wasn't a program system to keep Black people inferior, Black citizens inferior, if you will, you feel me? And the demiurge is the vampiric energy. That Jesus figure, this Christian thought, is the vampiric energy. And the demiurge is just the Gnostic belief of this false creator God. And essentially it is the ego, right? And the ego is a part of you that wants to fit in to a group, a societal idea, so you can stay safe, secure, and sound in this world. So a lot of people are just going to church because they want to stay safe and secure. They don't want to, they just go in because, okay, and safe and secure, because they're like, all right, well, if I transition, let me hedge my bet just in case that hell is real. So their ego is fucked up because they like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to church. That's majority of these Christians. They just going because they just trying to hedge a bet on, okay, well, I'm not trying to go to hell, so fuck it, I'm gonna go to church, do my tithes, and just do just enough, just in case I get to that other side. And in the flames, I don't want to see them flames. I need to see them pearly gates. Ha! So they trying to hedge they bet for real. You like, fuck it, I ain't even trying to hear none of that shit. Which is the ego. You feel me? It's an ego-driven thought. See, the way you break free of the ego is by learning, studying, researching, and really coming into the space of your own, right? And as you come into the space of your own, you start to become anew, and then you start to have your own experiences in the astral realms, right? Which gives you a more profound, concrete understanding of where you're going when you transition. So again, when we talk about vampiric energy, check this out. My God looks like me. This is the Buddhist tradition. My God looks like me. The Hindu tradition. My God looks like me. The Christian tradition. So this false creator God is to keep a certain people into an inferior state. Let me play this Bobby Hemmett video for y'all so we can really dive deep into the fold of what the churches actually is and the vampiric energy that they possess.
Playing how the enemy is using the energy that we generate the black church. How we generate this energy in the black church?
Yeah.
Through our usual rituals.
It's interesting. All that stuff is ceremoniously to stop the flow of melody or the flow of spirituality. One brother was a theologian. I met him, he's from Dallas. He just got out of theology school. And he went to do his final theology speech or whatever they do. But he went to this white college and the place was packed with white people and he was coming out, he was on the podium. And he said his mouth started talking and the words started appearing on the page and it was saying, you people are devils, you gonna die, all kind of shit. And all right, and he was just saying it and all, you know. And then he said one day he was teaching a little catechism class and he came in and said, you all are all gods. You all are gods. And stuff like that. He said it just started coming to him. And he said that one day he saw the energy that sets over the church, and it is some evil stuff. You know that for yourself when you come in contact with a real religious person. Mm-hmm. And not unless you're brainwashed, something ain't right about it.
You be knowing them religious people be creepy than a motherfucker. Y'all know what I'm talking about, boy. They be creepy, weird. There was a pastor at the school I went to, Jarvis, and this nigga was creepy than a motherfucker, and he was like holier than thou, all of that stuff. His look was even creepy. You feel me? Wish I had a picture of that nigga, but this nigga was absolutely something different about him. And he was a pastor at our school, church, and all of that, right? And come to find out, he was married and everything. Come to find out, he was taking them girls to his house. Some of them girls that was, you know, doing some of the stuff in the church. He was taking them to his house and trying to sleep with them. Nigga, them girls came back and told us, boy, that shit. I said, I already knew that nigga was creepy than a bitch. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, y'all know you know what he's talking about, Bobby's talking about, especially with some of these Christians. You look at them, you be like, nah, something's kind of off with you. You feel me?
Get a funny feeling around. You get a funny feeling around some certain creatures. Something cold about them. You see what I'm saying? That's because there's an energy there, you see what I'm saying, that is against the order of actual nature and everything else. You see what I'm saying? But it's set up that way by the Freedmen's Bureau. You see what I'm saying? So they ritualistically comprise a system of worship that is anti-indigenous culture. That's why they call you the pagan, which means the people. What people are they talking about? The Africans. So it was literally a campaign to wipe out all forms of African culture, which was basically the dominant religion of the world, the Osirianism. And so they made something opposite from it, and that's what we've been locked into. Plus, you gotta realize this too. Basically, the church that we are a part of got most of its start in Europe, because the ancient world didn't have that. Yeah. So basically, we went into a European tradition that killed thousands of women at the stake, white people. That's right. And killed thousands of indigenous people around the earth under the skies of Christianity, Islam, and Judaism.
It's a trap. It's a trap. And, you know, the sad, whatever. You can't judge, cool. It's just interesting how you know that the church or Christianity is not your religion from the ancient world, and people will still gravitate towards it just because of naivete, ignorance, and then just the mind control of the white being more superior. So a lot of black people have that colorism effect in their mind that's saying, okay, white people are on top and this Jesus figure is white, so This must be right. You feel me? Hell, there's a girl on Instagram. I seen her talking about Jesus is white. And I thought we was been past that stage. Now, remember, there is no such thing as Jesus. It's just an idea or a symbol of the Christ consciousness inside of you, right? And they took the spiritual concept of it from the Egyptian mythology and the Hindu mythologies and so on and so forth as this hero figure. So the Egyptian mythology is Heru as the Christ figure, right? The Hindu mythology is Krishna as the Christ figure, right? It's basically a childlike spirit or a childlike essence of energy. That's it. So they put these things in story form to give you an understanding or to give kids an understanding, just like any kind of thing to teach people. Stories will teach you faster and stronger than just trying to convey the message to you outright. Movies too, especially movies. So understanding that to the core is understanding that all of this stuff is metaphysical and allegories to explain energy. The end. You are God, and you are the only God you need to be worried about. So now, getting back to it, and shout out to Bobby for that fire breakdown on churches. Delta Slim, he said, your religion came from them. The blues came from us. Ashe. So, the blues is a real big staple in melanated beings' growth and expansion out of the survival mode. Because they're singing from their heart and they're expressing a certain feeling that's putting them in, you could say like a melancholy, sad state, but it moves them because music is the muse that moves you in a particular way, right? So just like with Sammy, right, and his guitar, he knows that it's something that moves him. You feel me? Same thing with Coco, something that moves him, right? And when he played in the middle of the night, or when it was his time to play at the juke joint, he moved the crowd so much so, let me see if I got the video here, that they started moving and grooving, and they were time traveling. Time ceased to exist, if you will. You feel me? And as they are moving and grooving and get into the beat, essentially they're in spirit, they're inspired, their body is taken over. So it's the same idea when you go to church, right? When they play the music, they're doing that to affect your chakras or your organs, your glands, right? Them organs, them sounds is going to make you move. So the true religion or the true God is music. The end, because that's what's making you move in the church. Obviously, the words can make you move because they bring in a certain level of energy as they're speaking to you, right? But just staying with the idea of music, that's actually the thing that's going to shift your vibration. And you can go into church and you could be hearing the music and you could have been sad at that time. And all of a sudden they start hitting them glands and them keys that's affecting your organs. And then all of a sudden you jumping up and down, screaming, hallelujah, speaking in tongue and everything. Galacia is what it's called. So now you're moving and grooving and you're believing that Jesus has took over your being. The Holy Spirit has came up inside of you. Ha. And you're ready to give your energy to something outside of yourself, when the real game is to give all the energy back to something inside of yourself. This is inside out, not outside in. And out of darkness comes light. And I'm going to get to that. Watch this. Watch how dream works. So understanding that darkness is really where it's at, then that's what shifts you into a new paradigm. The darkness, stay with me, family. Trust me, this is going to be a doozy. The darkness is what shifts you into the paradigm. Let's look at Sammy again. Him being in the astral realms playing his music. Same thing with Coco, right? Astral realms playing in his music. It's taking you out of this earthly realm and putting you into your greatest greatness, which is when you go to sleep and close your eyes. Taking you out of your sin, your skin, and putting you into the picture making machine that's giving you messages. So this picture making machine that's giving you messages at night is your higher self giving you plays to run on this earth realm. We're just missing the message because we have taken ourselves out of the astral realms. Well, some of us have, right? We have to get back into the astral realms because that's the real work on self. When we talk about know thyself or gnosis or the knowledge of self or this self-love, we're talking about the inner experiences that's happening inside of you that you have to address, that's in the darkness, because out of the darkness comes light, and out of the darkness is showing you a particular light. You feel me? So it's just a reflection. Everything is just reflecting something that's inside of you, right? So even in Sammy's case, he wanted to play the music, and sure enough, he brought some vampires or some demons, if you will, to the table. Absolutely powerful, absolutely powerful. And the blues was a staple for expressing the soul of the Black American experience, a raw emotional outpouring of pain, resilience, love, and longing. Born in the Deep South, it gave voice to suffering during slavery, segregation, and hard living, while also carrying the spirit of resistance, survival, and deep inner strength. So understand that the blues is coming from you, and it's a part of your essence. All music is a part of your essence, right? And it's something that's pouring out of you. So when you hear some fire stuff, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind, and Fire, you know, even some of this rap today, Luther Vandross, all of that stuff, is something coming out of them that they have to express. And they have to express it in a harmonious vibe to capture the minds of others, or to give a feeling to the minds of others. And that's what the blues is. And that's what Sammy did in the juke joint. So Black and indigenous people were treated as inherently sinful or unworthy just for being born in their skin. That's the sin that these Caucasian people put on you, or the powers that be put on melanated people back in them times, the 1935s and stuff. They put the sinful energy on you based off of them believing in the narrative of the Bible. Like, these people are unworthy, they're not good people, they're animals, and so on and so forth, right? So it's a trick of the mind, because in all actuality, we're the first, the supreme, the forever, the all. And, you know, and we've been tricked into believing that we're less than and inferior. So we got to understand that to the core, that they put that idea of sin already impregnated in your being. So then you see them hanging people back then, like you see them hanging melanated people. So one part was Stack was saying, "Man, I can't be with you," to the half the biracial white girl, whatever. He was like, "I can't be with you. You know what they're gonna do to us." And essentially, he was like, "Look, I'm trying to keep you safe, And shit, I'm really trying to keep myself safe too. So, we can't be together, right? But she was like, nigga, love conquers all. I don't give a fuck about this color. You feel me? She was colorblind. She was like, nah, fuck all that bullshit. We about to get down and dance. You feel me? And sure enough, they did. And you seen what happened at the end. But let's keep the story rolling. So the monsters that show up in the dark are the same ones you're dealing with in the light. Message: the monsters that show up in the dark are the same ones you're dealing with in the light. This is a very, very, very important concept to understand. And y'all need to share this thing up and like this thing up, because this is going to save somebody's life. You're dealing with monsters inside of you and outside of you. Out of darkness comes light. So even in Sammy's case, right, him playing at the juke joint and bringing forth a certain level of vampiric energy into the juke joint based off of his music is something that he was dealing with inside. Sammy is the sword and the stone, the kid that pulled out the sword and the stone. Sammy is the Christ figure. Sammy is the one who is going through this adventure, and we're living in his dream. His cousins are aspects of his dream. His church is aspects of his dream. The girl he went to, or he ate out, is aspects of his dream that he's going through. Remember when he was with his dad and he was like, man, I've been doing this for all my life. Shoot, I just need one day. And sure enough, he took off with his cousins on that specific day, which I'm going to break down because that day was even powerful. I said, damn, Ryan Coogler, you did it again. The day that October 15th, don't worry, I'm going to get to it. That was even powerful. I was like, damn, that nigga Ryan took off on this bitch. You feel me? Absolutely amazing. So understand that the monsters that show up in your darkness, in your dreams, in the astral realms are the same ones you're dealing with in the light. I was when I used back in the day before I became conscious essentially, and before I really got into my work, I would be running in my dreams. And I'll be running from like demon figures, hood niggas, cops. I'll just be running constantly in my dreams. This is before I got into my work. I was whatever conscious, but it wasn't like I didn't do no work. So that shit didn't count. You feel me? Once I started doing the work and started getting into the astral realms, then I was able to stop, turn around, punch the bullies in the face, and stand up for myself in a heroic effort. And then my world changed because my energy changed inside of me. And now, I'm carrying out the mission that I came down here to live in. So it's important to understand that your dreams is giving you understandings of what's happening in your world right now. And you have to really pay attention to your dreams, because if you not paying attention, you're just going to be going in circles over and over and over again. You feel me? So now, understanding that the monsters show up in the dark are the same ones you're dealing with in the light, that's when we have all these shows that shows us the same vampiric energy showing up. Remember the show From, right? And I can't wait till season 4, I think it is. They had these monsters or demons or vampiric energies that was feeding on people at night, right? But the real idea or the code, the switcheroo, if you will, was during the daytime, they were dealing with particular situationships and ideas about themselves that came out in the form of monsters at night. You'll feel better if you come outside. That vampire said that in front of me. I said, oh shit, it's going down, baby. That nigga said, you'll feel better if you come outside. So out of darkness comes light. In the dark is the light. It's the same reflection piece, right? The True Knots in Dr. Sleep. Y'all remember Dr. Sleep? The True Knots was basically soul-sucking vampiric energies that was feeding on kids' soul. You feel me? And they were taking their childlike essence because they were trying to have eternal life. So that's the same concept, same idea. These vampiric energies are trying to steal your light. And I'm not gonna just hold them to Caucasian people, right? They come in all shapes and sizes, colors, creeds, it don't matter. The vampires are real, but they're real in the vampiric energy of somebody or some group trying to keep you stuck in a perpetual state of inferior or underestimating your greatest greatness, which is the God in you. So the True Knots was another aspect of these vampiric energies at nighttime coming out to play to take child souls, right? And remember that one girl, her name was Abracadabra. She was a black melanated goddess. She had the magic. Her name was Abracadabra, right? Which is magic. She defeated the True Knots, or the main True Knot, and then Dr. Sleep ended up waking up, essentially. You feel me? So boom, let's get to stack and smoke. Two sides of the same coin. Now, getting back to the sin aspect, remember the sin is your skin, and the skin you live in is the aspect of you having an adventure down here. So they were in their right state of mind. That's why you can see the sun behind them in every cover thing of the Sinners movie, right? The sun, they're just representing the sun. They're representing the Christ consciousness. See, you're putting the moral standpoint of them being shifters and stealing or whatever, right, as a bad thing because you've been tricked into or duped into the idea of the moralism, which is evil in this world, but but in the grand scheme of things, outside of the matrix is not. You feel me? So they went to Chicago for 7 years to get into their spiritual bag, and they came back and they said, yeah, we're about to run this town. And that's sure enough, that's what they did. They came into an enlightened state. You feel me? Remember the sun. Remember, they got the sun behind them, sun and sun. So they're the sun, two sides of one coin, right? And they just represent a certain aspect of you that you have to understand within yourself. And Michael B. Jordan played the hell out of this role, boy. Absolutely amazing. This is his best role yet. Absolutely best role he did. So boom, we're talking about the root chakra and stack being more grounded, earthly, trying to make things happen on this physical plane, right, which is divine. And then we're talking about the throat chakra in smoke, which is the more etheric, smoke, air, expression, truth. You feel me? So you see Smoke, he was always standing on truth or standing on business, right? And he was expressing his truth in the aspect of, nah, y'all ain't gonna gyp us with them bullshit ass coins y'all got. You feel me? And he kept expressing his truth in the form of different ideas and ideologies. When the vampires came to the door, he said, nah, y'all take y'all ass to them white juke joints. I got us fucked up. Stack, on the other hand, is like, nigga, they got some money. Fuck it, let's play. Let's have fun. You feel me? And even either or is not bad, right or wrong, right? We got to get off that right or wrong concept. They're just one coin, and it's just a holistic experience that you're going through on this earth realm. So understand to the core, right, that this is how you move, and your energies and emotions is based off of your chakra system. And they were showing these aspects of these two as a gateway or a portal to get on your Hailee shit, to be on your big one, because there's the lower aspect of the chakras, right? They also represented the sun or the heart, and then the blue represents the higher aspect of the chakras. You feel me? So they're one being, and they're expressing themselves as being able to be in this Christ consciousness state. You feel me? So then Sammy going off with his cousins is essentially him seeing his reflection of himself in them two and being incongruent with them, saying, oh, okay, I gotta be, badass in this bitch, if you will, and not hold back and run amok on this hoe. You feel me? Because at the end of the day, that's all you got is your adventure down here, and you can't subjugate yourself to a moral complex, because them white boys ain't trying to hear, they ain't subjugating themselves to a moral complex. That's you fucking yourself up, not making it big down here in this earth realm. So these niggas is right on time, and we have to be able to understand the essence and the energy that they possess. Annie, she represented the aspect of spirituality, or using tools in ritualistic styles, right? So remember, religion is derived from spirituality to control you and your magical works. The end. Religion is a derived concept to control you. Church is just a tool to conquer you. The end. I can hear all my Christians now getting mad and shit. Don't matter. I'm just telling you what it is. Truth is going to hurt you more. And wait until the end of this build, because when I show you the real truth in the whole movie, that shit going to really fuck y'all Christians up. God damn, chaos in the blood. Hey, I'm just telling you what it is. This shit is going to hurt. So if you're a Christian, you might as well get off now, because that shit going to fuck you up. And I'm trying to keep you safe, secure, and out of the way. Ha! Chaos in the blood, baby. And Annie was in her right state of mind. You feel me? She was in her bag. She was one in her power, right? You see her with the blue on, right? In her essence of spiritual power and energy. You feel me? Very, very important concept. They were expressing a love for each other that goes beyond color, wedlock, beliefs. So Annie and Smoke was expressing a love, and Stack and the Caucasian girl, biracial Caucasian girl, was expressing a love, right? And the Christian people will see that as sin. You feel me? Like, oh, they being lustful, they're hatching up with out of wedlock or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you can't. A part of a sin back in the day was dating a different race. So all of that is mind control and a tactic to keep you in control. You feel me? Hell, even Sammy, he had got with the married chick. You feel me? And in that concept, that in the religious concept, thou shalt not fuck with nobody else's wife or husband or whatever, right? That's a sin. But what he was doing was transforming and getting out of the religious doctrine to taste that pussy while it was still sweaty. I just want to taste it. Ha, that nigga looked crazy. I said, oh shit, it's going down. She said, wait, let me wash up. He said, I just want to taste it. His young ass, naive ass, he didn't know what he was getting himself into. She just walked 3-4 miles. I just want to taste it. She like, all right, nigga. Well, shit, let me raise these legs up. I warned you already. That puss was just sweat. She said, and they put that tongue on that bed. He said, ooh, started yodeling in that bitch, started singing the blues for real. That nigga thought he was in heaven. He got to that. Hey, said, you know, the young kids, they be eager and shit. Oh, my cousin just taught me how to eat pussy. Fuck it, let me try this shit on her before she don't let me get in. That nigga went down. Nah. You ain't about to take no shower or nothing. Let me get you right here, right now. Fuck all that bullshit. I just want to taste it. Ha. Chaos in the blood, baby. So, you know, this concept of sin is an important aspect that we got to understand to the core. They're keeping you in a religious dogma, binded contract of something that's just controlling your energy. The end. So you have to remove yourself from any kind of notion of moralism and the idea of sin that's keeping you in a lockdown state. There's people that go to the army, they kill people in the army, and they feel good about that. And that's based off of their heart chakra. Their heart says, oh, I'm doing this for my country, right? Hell, you see the whole Carmelo and Austin Metcalf situation that's going on. Black people don't give a fuck that he killed him or not. They like, hey, self-defense. And then, you know what I'm saying? Then Caucasian people, white people, they like, nah, fuck that. This nigga can't believe this dude did that. This monkey did that. I can't believe this. See, they letting the apes go. Let me stop playing with y'all. Start getting some of y'all mad and shit, picking a side and shit. Y'all go see my Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Decoded. God damn. So understand to the core, right? This astral experience is what we're talking about, right? We're talking about you going into the darkness and coming out with light. So that's exactly what Sammy did. He went into the darkness in the juke joint. The vampires came and he came out with some light. And that's when you seen him that's when you seen Sammy, you know, they were trying to save Sammy because the vampires were trying to get to him and stuff like that. They was like, hey, we need that nigga. We got to get him. And sure enough, they was keeping him away, keeping him protected. Hey, we'll give up our life. You feel me? Because you got this quote unquote angelic spirit or whatever. And essentially what happened was, as he was able to get out of there, remember, he came back home to the church house, right? To his dad in his church house the next day, right? So October 15th was when they said travels. Remember that? They traveled October 15th. Sammy, Smoke, and Stack, they set out to travel October 15th, 1935, right? And that October 15th is not no coincidence. Ryan Coogler knew what he was doing when he put that date there. And as Sammy got in the car with his cousins on October 15th, and October 16th was the day he got back to his dad, that was a transformational period. And October 15th is also the birthday of a world-renowned metaphysician, if you will, right? And one of his quotes is, his name is Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Nietzsche. And one of his quotes says, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions to be destroyed. So Friedrich Nietzsche was born on October 15th, the same day Sammy, Stack, and Smoke took off to that adventure, right? And something Frederick Nietzsche built or came up with was a concept. He got like 10 books or something like that. But one of the biggest concepts he came up with was existentialism. Existentialism. It says existentialism is a philosophical movement that focuses on individual freedom, choice, and existence. Existentialism is a physiological movement that focuses on individual freedom, choice, and existence. It emphasizes the idea that life doesn't have inherent meaning, and it's up to each person to create their own meaning and purpose. Oh, chaos in the blood, baby. I cannot make it up. Ryan Coogler did his big one with this one, and you know Dream was gonna find it. Ha. Hey, you know how Dream gets. Hey, and you know I was gonna find it. I said, okay, let's figure this October 15th out, because that is just not by any coincidence. And sure enough, found out. If you hear anybody else say it, they got it from you know who, Dreamwise. It says existentialists believe that humans are free to make their own choices, but this freedom comes with a sense of responsibility, anxiety, and sometimes despair, because it forces people to confront the fact that they are in control of their own destiny. Message: you are an individual, sovereign, chaos being God. You are in control of your own destiny. There is no person in the sky, Sky Daddy, that's controlling your narrative. You're controlling this thing. You need to move with power, with strength, with courage, hey, Rue, and do your big one. Even when we're talking about the demiurge and the 12 archons, we're talking about the zodiac signs that's ruling over you, keeping you into a sense of control, keeping you in a sense of this is how you're supposed to move because this is the energy of the day. Nah, fuck that. Nigga, you move how the wind blows. You move how you are claiming you need to move, based on your own power, your own strength, and your own courage to get over that emotionalism and these anxieties and this despair inside. I'm gonna read it again. Existentialists believe that humans are free to make their own choices, but this freedom comes with a sense of responsibility, anxiety, and sometimes despair, because it forces people to confront the fact that they are in control of their own destiny. You got to confront the fact that you are bringing in a certain vampiric energy to the juke joint, Sammy. And you're in the astral realms trying to understand why you have this vampiric energy coming to the juke joint when you playing your music. And as you've seen, them vampires was definitely in the space of control and look, hey, it's all, we're gonna be all good. Don't worry about that. You'll be free. Just come with us. Right? They were trying to make this kumbaya moralistic idea of this is the way to go on earth and you'll have everlasting life. Chaos in the blood, baby. Hey, I can't make it up. I'm just telling you what it is. So the vampires in the show is a metaphor or allegory to the vampiric energy that you're receiving from the church house. And this nigga being born on October 15th, and that's the day that they traveled, was absolutely a great play by Ryan Coogler to bring forth a certain level of freedom into your mind. Chaos in the blood, baby. Let's keep it rolling. Let's see. So boom, Now we got the vampires correlating with the church. Your family members are vampiric energy. Your daddy, your mama, and them people at the church, they are vampires. They're trying to keep you stuck in an illusion. Out of darkness comes light. So the darkness is the vampires coming to the juke joint. The light is the church house. It's the same reflection. You're in a mirrorverse. And in this mirrorverse, whatever you're doing in the light is what's happening inside the darkness inside of you. So now these vampires are the reflection piece of Sammy's church house, being stuck in this Christian mindset, dogma, religious mindset that's keeping you in shackles and enslaved to an idea, a concept that's not real. So now understand to the core, the pastors you meet, the people at your church. Hell, Sammy went to his dad. At the end, Sammy got to his dad. He got back to his dad. He gave him a hug. The guitar was broke. The dad said, "Put down the guitar, son. Put down the guitar and I'll set you free." That's the same thing them goddamn vampires was saying. Put down the guitar and come back home. Ha! I was like, oh, there it go. And sure enough, that nigga drove the fuck up out of that bitch. And I was so happy for him because that's the new growth, the new change in his evolution where he went off to be a famous blues singer and did his big one. You feel me? And was running amok on the earth realm by saying, nah, I'm about to set sail on sea and see who I was destined to be. I'm not going to be stuck at this church for 50, 60, 70 years. Y'all heard Bobby in this damn video?
Take your pick. Jump in front of
The enemy is using the energy.
No, let me play this Bobby video for y'all real quick so we can understand how far the church go.
telling you since Sunday school to be obedient, to be good. And you now 50 years old in church and they're telling you to be good and pointing the finger at all the bad people. Then in so many words, it keeps your evolution into spirituality and to understanding the universe into a retarded state.
Play that again for the people in the back.
And they've been telling you since Sunday school to be obedient, to be good. And you now 50 years old in church and they're telling you to be good and pointing the finger at all the bad people.
All the bad people saying, no, you don't want to be like them. Don't go that way. Don't do that. The quote unquote bad people that's running amok on this bitch. That's having an adventure because they understand that this is an experience and it's not real. And if you're not out here having an experience, then you're out here subjugated to the ideas and the conformity of a religious sect that's not real.
Then in so many words, it keeps your evolution into spirituality and to understanding the universe into a retarded state. It has retarded and impeded on your process of going to a higher level, an impediment to go to the higher level.
The great Bobby Hemmett. So understand, right? This darkness is important, family. I can't make it up. And Sammy going through, doing his big one, right? In the darkness, in the juke joint, and getting into that vibration and them time traveling through music and really burning the roof on fire, setting the roof on fire, was an important aspect of understanding how far music can take you out of mind control. Because music is your creative energy force. And if you're able to get out and think outside of the box, music is just a symbol for art, writing, drawing, physical, building, whatever, right? So if you're able to think outside of the box and express yourself, blue throat chakra, freely, then you'll be able to be set free. Like the Niskis dude was saying in his idea of existentialism, a philosophical movement that focuses on individual freedom, choice, and existence. The end. So that's you being the individual freedom chooser of how you're going to make this thing run. Not the government, not your church, not the powers that be or the Illuminati. It's up to you, God, Goddess, and it's up to you in such a high demanding level. And you know, we say, we was talking about them vampires, right? They come in all forms and sizes, and some of them might have, how would we say, a certain look and narrative that creates the world and keeps the world going into a certain state of, yeah, look, no, just be good, do good. If you keep on doing good, you'll get good. Well, guess what? The vampires always show up and tell you the same message. Give me some questions, family. Oh, you know what I want to play for y'all? Let me show y'all how deep the darkness is for everybody. Check this Wayne Dyer video out.
You change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Albert Einstein once observed that
when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So you have to really step back and look at everything you're looking at, right? The church, and I know y'all spiritual people, so I know y'all into churches, but still, even in the grand scheme of things, you could still have an indoctrinated spiritual system that's keeping you in a lockdown. That's keeping you in shackles based off of you trying to fit in again with the spiritual mumbo jumbo when everybody's a different being down here and they need to express themselves in the way they need to express themselves. Everybody's not supposed to be wearing dashikis and beads and all of that. Hey, do you feel me? Do you and make it fly, make it your own. You feel me? Absolutely a must in spirituality. This ain't no goddamn one size fits all. This is about you, your own universe, and you doing you the best way you can. That's what spirituality is about. The end.
when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Albert Einstein once observed that you have the most fundamental and major decision that you have to make in your life is this: do I live in a friendly or a hostile universe? Which is it? Is it a universe that is filled with hostility and anger and people wanting to hate each other and people wanting to kill each other? Is that what you see? Because when you see the world that way, that's exactly what you will create for yourself in your life. This is from great scientific minds. And
So Albert Einstein saying that is an aspect of what the church teaches you, in the aspect of you're going to hell. You better not you better not step on that ant. they're making this a mind control tactic to believe that there's some place called hell because the church is here to control you as a tool and conquer you in the mind.
The interesting thing is that this is not just a clever play on words, that when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's actually a very scientific thing, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. I'd like you to imagine the following scene. You're in your house. You've got your car keys in your hand. The lights go out. Power failure. You can't see a thing. You stumble around in your living room and you drop your keys. And you look around for a moment and you realize that you're never going to find them in the dark. But you look outside and you notice that the street lights are on. So in your mind, a light bulb goes off. I'm not going to sit around here in the dark and grope around looking for my keys when there's a light on outside. I'm going to go out here under the street light and I'm going to look for my keys. Why are you laughing? This makes a lot of sense. So you're out here and you're groping around and you're looking for your keys and you're looking and your neighbor comes along and says, "What happened, Wayne?" "Well, I dropped my keys." "Oh, I'll help you look for them." And the two of us are now down here looking for our keys and looking. Finally, he says to me, "Excuse me, but where did you drop your keys?" "Well, I dropped them in the house." He said, "You mean to tell me that you dropped your keys in the house and you're looking for them out here in the street light? Doesn't make any sense." And I said, "Well, it doesn't make any sense to grope around in the dark when there's light out here." Now you laugh and you think how silly that is, but isn't that exactly what we do when we have a problem, a difficulty, a struggle that is located inside and we're looking for the solution outside?
The great Wayne Dyer. Absolutely, that's what people do. So again, Sammy found his problem inside as he took his day to explore. And as he went into the darkness, right, and got into his bag with his music, essentially the juke joint and everybody getting becoming vampires in his dream, because remember, this is all a dream. This is him in the astral realms, was his own doing. And to rectify that dream and to really conquer that dream, that's when he faced the one main vampire in the water. Remember, water is emotions. And he ended up ridding that vampire off, right? Killing him off with the stake at his heart. And that stake at his heart is essentially just killing off that vampiric energy, but it's a reflection of him punching the bully in the face, killing off the demons, killing off the enemy, right? And he sure enough did that when he got back home to his dad. Yes, sir, family. Yes, sir. Let me see what y'all talking about, baby. Let me see what y'all talking about. How the younglings doing? How the younglings doing? My younglings, shit, they good. Shit. Chaos and blood, chaos beings. Why was the vampire dancing, singing on Irish dance? Why didn't Native Americans pop up to help? Because that Irish was the false creator, like Bobby said. The church is from a European structure concept. So that whole Christian theology was a implanted program for melanated beings to capture their minds and to take on their religiosity aspect of the world. You feel me? We have our own spiritual system, our own gnosis, and there's nothing wrong with theirs. But when they put that Bible in your hand as captured slaves, and said, this is your God. And then they gave you every Sunday off to bask in that freedom and to go to church, essentially. Then what happens is it gets passed down and passed down and passed down into the DNA, into the lexicon of where you see churches now. But now we're waking up and churches are slowly and surely about to die off. And as they die off, then the spiritual evolution comes and everybody becomes more heart-centered. It's a heart-centered space of expression of love, unconditional love for yourself and unconditional love for others to do them. You know, wars are based off of religion. So a lot of this stuff is dying off heavy as we get into more and more into the Aquarius age, into this technology age. And you're going to have the religion of self. Islam, I, self, Lord, and Master. And find your own walk of life. And obviously you can get, you know, ideas, concepts, right? But at the end of the day, you're going to have to build your own spiritual system for you and make it work for you. Yes, sir, family. Yes, sir. So yeah, that is Sinners Decoded. Sinners Decoded. And I really could have did a part 2, but shit, you know, because I could have went into the goddesses. I could have went in, you know what I'm saying? But that's the basis and the gist of this thing. You feel me? And I want the family to understand that it's not only about the Christian religious dogma mentality. You can be binded to any group, even at your job, any kind of social dynamic group, anything that's dealing with group think mentality. You can be binded to it, and you can be stuck in that system that doesn't let you express yourself freely and effortlessly. This is about the individual right for you to get down with the get down and you to go your own way and express yourself freely with love and power and strength in your own self. What's your take on the Pope dipping out when he did? 88, hey, Easter, hey, it's this whole thing. You know, that's the Lion's Gate. That's in that infinity energy as well too. You feel me? And you know how this thing goes is there's an evoked spirit that comes into play when you see things like that happen. You feel me? To create a tunnel or a vortex to get up out of here as some kind of Christ figure. Because remember, all of this is based off of thoughts alone. So if there is a substantial amount of melanated people that's believing in this Pope energy, and then at 88, that's the right time and the right place, especially with the spring equinox, the Easter Christian energy that comes forth. You feel me? So Michael B. Jordan played a new Blade. Hey, you know, they ain't gonna do that Blade, man. You know, they're gonna run away from that. Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler are tied to the hip, and they're gonna be in a space of doing this dance for years and years on end. And essentially, as they do this dance, it's just gonna be one of those things that takes them into the Hall of Fame of this thing. You feel me? Because you can't make it up. Wakanda Forever, from all the way from Fruitville Station, Wakanda Forever was box office. This is box office. So the Creed, I think Ryan Coogler was a little bit a part of the Creed, right? Yeah. So them two tied together is just, we're going to be seeing them dance the whole way through this thing. You feel me? And you know what I thought about? Remember the Willie Lynch letter, right? And that Willie Lynch letter is an important concept as well, because that is something that we've been programmed with, to believe in ourselves in an inferior state. And the more we can get out of that Willie Lynch ideology, right, that they created to make melanated people believe through force, through coercion, the more we can start to get into our own bag and our own God power right to be the gods of our universe. Remember, music is just one song, universe, one song. So that's what music is. And you're a music note and you're singing your way through this thing. And I just want the family to understand that to the core, that as you're singing and as you're moving through your world, you're harmonized into a whole different vibration of God, not of these vampires. Yes, sir, family. I love and appreciate y'all, man. Love and appreciate y'all. Peace to the gods.